What's going on, everyone? Ryan from 90s Nostalgia. And I think with just Christmas right around the corner, it being next week, I think it would be just a fun idea for us to break down one of our favorite Christmas movies as a 90s kid. Easily, this movie comes in top three for me. And we're talking about A Muppet Christmas Carol. So, what I went ahead and did was I pulled up 15 fun facts from the movie that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't. I guarantee at least two of these I didn't even know about as I'm doing my research. So let's just pitter patter and get at her, shall we? So clear as day, it says it at the end of the movie. If you didn't know, this was Jim Henson's final film. He had passed away before A Muppet Christmas Carol started. And so this movie is in tribute to him and his longtime collaborator of Richard Hunt, who passed away in 92, just shortly after. And Hunt voiced like Scooter, Janice, Sweetums, Statler. So those were two major losses there. But now on the back end of that, this also gives us the introduction of Brian Henson, who is Jim Henson's son. He spent his whole life in that Muppet factory, working behind the scenes, working on different TV shows with his father. So he stepped up into the helm, and this was his first directorial debut. And I think he just bang up job. He nailed it out of the park. So now in the song, there's only one more sleep till Christmas. At the very end of the song, you see the shooting star. Well, that is genuinely a nod to Jim Henson. So this goes all the way back to the Muppet movie where you see a shooting star fly over Kermit. And it's been a reoccurring theme in pretty much all of the Muppet movies. And so Brian decided this would be a great tribute to his father. So, did you know that Whitmire, who voices the voice for Kermit and originally started his first gig on A Muppet Christmas Carol, got the blessing from Jim Henson in a dream? Well, yeah, Whitmire shared this multiple times that the night before filming, he went to bed and he woke up in a lobby, and there was Jim Henson standing in a white robe with his thumb and his index finger underneath his chin, which was vintage Jim Henson, apparently. And he told Whitmire, this will pass. Whitmire said he woke up, he felt relieved, he felt the sense of anxiety was gone, and from that point forward, he was able to be Kermit the Frog that we know. Because every point prior to that, it was Jim Henson voicing Kermit the Frog. So this was a huge role to fill. So we all understand that the casting of Michael Caine in A Muppet Christmas Carol was the legit serious move there. It was the only chess piece to go, and the right one. But this could have looked a lot different because, genuinely, this could have went to George Carlin. I can appreciate his stand-up, but bringing him in as Ebenezer Scrooge was not going to be that move. But even behind Michael Caine, who's a two-time Oscar winner, bringing huge reputation, respect, and clout to the set, he was the fourth choice out of three other English actors. We're talking about David Hemming, David Warner, and Ron Moody. So this is wild that Michael Caine, who literally destroyed that role, was fifth in line for the role of Ebenezer Scrooge. So, but now just a fun little thing. So they gave a nod to Michael Caine's, well, God name. So Michael's real name is Maurice Micklewhite. And so at the end of the movie, you'll see a sign on a storefront that's called Micklewhite's. Nice little addition right there and a nice little nod to Michael Caine. Also, I don't even know if this quantifies as a fun fact, but Michael Caine had to genuinely watch his steps. So underneath the streets of London where everyone's walking, we all understand that there are puppeteers under there. So the streets that we're seeing were built off planks and pallets and all of this. And so he genuinely had to watch his step. Otherwise, he was going to twist his ankle. But he still said that working on the set was just the funnest time that he's had. Weirdest question for you. Do you know who the only one Muppet that's left out of A Muppet Christmas Carol is? And it's a major Muppet. If you said Scooter, you were right. So originally, Scooter was going to end up being one of the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. They decided to go another route because they wanted to go ahead and bring in original models. So they shifted Gonzo from one of the ghosts to Charles Dickens. They shifted Piggy from one of the ghosts to Mrs. Cratchit. And then they shifted Scooter. Well, Scooter got the boot. So this stands for him to be the only Muppet in the whole cast that we've seen on the Muppet Show left out of the Muppet movie. Everybody pretty much made it in there. So, and if you're wondering how Jim Henson Production Studios got the ghost to have that ghostly aura for past, present, and future, well, they got a hold of Diddy. And when I'm talking about that, they ended up filling a whole tank full of baby oil. It got to be so expensive that they ended up shifting to another liquid. But this was full of a couple hundred gallons of baby oil, and they submerged the puppets in baby oil and then filmed it behind a green screen. So I just kind of thought this was a funny little fact right there that they spent thousands of dollars on these Muppets, and then pretty much destroyed them afterwards because they were just doused in baby oil. I didn't even realize this. So the scene where we see a full body Kermit and Tiny Tim walking the street, do you know it took 10 puppeteers to make that happen? That's wild. So this was a true feat. It took them like 8 to 10 hours to film this scene. So apparently, A Muppet Christmas Carol cut out a massive section of their soundtrack. So they gave the boot to at least a minimum of what I've been able to find, 4 songs. So the first one, we would have had a young Ebenezer in A Christmas Past singing When Love Is Gone. This would have been a great little tribute, and they just didn't feel that it fit with the younger audience. So during test polls, they went ahead and removed it. But they brought it back for the Disney Plus variation. And then, not only that, did you know there was going to be a Scooter, a Beaker, and a Sam the Eagle song? They all got the boot too.